Thank you for joining Drug-Free Workplace PA. Today we will be talking about drug testing, the law and best practices, drug testing policy, methods of drug testing, test adulteration, and sample protocol, as well as resources. Pennsylvania does not have a law addressing drug testing in private employment. This means that drug testing is not restricted or prohibited. Federal agencies conducting drug testing must follow standardized procedures established by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA, which is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. However, employees can file claims regarding drug testing. Some examples are the following: discrimination, when a certain group of people are the only people subjected to testing. Disability discrimination. The Americans with Disability Act, or ADA, protects applicants and employees who are taking a medication for a disability. Some legal prescription medications can cause the same positive result as illicit drugs. Medical marijuana. Pennsylvania Act 16 protects applicants and employees who are taking physician-recommended medical marijuana in any form approved by the Act, and for any of the qualifying reasons approved by the Act. Invasion of privacy. The way a test is collected may be intrusive. An example of invasion of privacy would be having an employee disrobe in front of others or urinate under direct observation. Improper disclosure of employee drug test results or failure to maintain confidential information, wrongful discharge due to disability covered under the ADA, for example, or defamation of character. Now, the employee has to prove the employer made a false statement of fact or acted negligently in determining the accuracy of a statement. With regards to worker compensation, the employee may receive no compensation for injury or death caused by the employee's violation of the law, including the illegal use of drugs or alcohol intoxication. The burden of proof is on the employer. A positive drug screen test or refusal to undergo testing for controlled substances as required by the employer's established substance use policy is classified as misconduct. Therefore, the employee would be ineligible for compensation with regards to claims for unemployment benefits. Private employers are not bound by HIPAA. It only applies to healthcare providers, which usually excludes private employers. Pennsylvania employers are permitted to share drug test results under specific circumstances. For example, unemployment compensation determination, workers' compensation determination, disability determination, and federal law and agency policy that requires disclosure, such as the Department of Transportation. When information regarding current, former, or potential employee drug testing is received by the employer should do the following: keep all information confidential. Never reveal the results to anyone that does not need to know. Keep information separate from the employee's general employment file to ensure it is not seen by someone who does not need to know. And select a person within your organization who will be responsible for receiving employee drug test results, and make sure that person is aware of confidentiality protocols. Your drug testing policy should address who will receive testing, when will testing be performed, why will testing be performed, how will testing be performed, how will the results be handled, where will testing be performed, what are the consequences for a positive result, and what are the rights of the employee. For a sample policy, please visit our Policy Builder resource. Your drug-free workplace policy should clearly state its purpose. It should use clear and concise language, defining terms such as reasonable suspicion and under the influence, and defining the drug testing procedure, including how is the employee getting to the lab and also back home after the drug testing has been completed. What are the consequences of violating the policy? How is confidentiality being handled? And what resources are available, including your employee assistance program? A signature page should be available to certify the employee has received a copy. An employee assistance program is a confidential service provided by the employer or labor union to help employees and their families resolve personal or work-related stressors. It's a confidential service, and information will not be shared unless the employee gives written consent to share their information. However, there is an exception that includes disclosure by the employee of threat of harm to self or others. The employee's information is kept separate from the employee's personnel file and will not be shared with the employer. This is a no-cost service, and once EAP services are exhausted, typically the employee's health insurance will cover any additional costs. This is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service, so it is available to the employee and their family members at any time. There are two types of collection sites, the brick and mortar laboratory and a mobile laboratory that comes on site. Some of the most common reasons to test include pre-employment, which is used to proactively protect employers from the negative impacts of hiring someone using illicit drugs. Random or spot testing is conducted on an unannounced using a random selection process and is typically computer generated. It protects the employer from bias. This serves as a strong deterrent for employees using drugs, and it works best when combined with pre-employment testing. An employer can also schedule periodic testing, usually during an annual physical. It can be managed easily, and since all employees have to do it, there is little room for bias. Reasonable suspicion is used when a supervisor has reasonable cause based on observable facts that would lead the supervisor to believe the employee is impaired. Training on how to execute reasonable suspicion is key to ensure there is no discrimination. Post-accident is performed after an employee has been involved in a workplace accident. It must be done to rule out any substance involvement and should be done within 12 hours of the incident. This is not a punitive measure. Return to duty is used when the employee previously tested positive for an illicit substance or violated the company's drug and alcohol policy. This is typically completed if the company has a return to work policy and agreement. The employee may be cleared to return to duty if he or she is actively seeking treatment. And this could also include follow-up drug testing at certain points during employment. SAMHSA drug testing guidelines are mandatory for certain safety-sensitive industries. Under the Omnibus Transportation Employee Testing Act of 1991, the Department of Transportation industries such as aviation, trucking, mass transit, railroads, pipelines, and any employer whose business is regulated by one of the following federal agencies and organizations covered under the Act, such as the Federal Aviation Administration, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Federal Railroad Administration, Federal Transit Administration, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, and the U.S. Coast Guard. Employers are required to test safety-sensitive employees at certain points. These points include pre-employment as a new hire or before the employee begins safety-sensitive functions for the first time, and whenever there is reasonable cause or suspicion that an employee has been involved in the use of or is under the influence of drugs and alcohol at work. Tests are also required immediately after an employee is involved in an accident and before allowing an employee to return to duty following a testing violation. Employers are also required to have a program of random drug testing in place. All drug testing conducted under the Omnibus Transportation Employee Testing Act must be carried out by a certified laboratory listed by the Department of Health and Human Services. All drug testing conducted under the Act must test for 5 different classes of drugs. All alcohol testing of employees must strictly adhere to DOT's policy and procedures for alcohol testing. The testing must be conducted using devices and equipment approved by the Department of Transportation. All tests must be reviewed by a qualified medical review officer. Employees must be allowed to consult with this officer before the test result is reported to the employer. All employees, whether in safety-sensitive positions or not, must receive drug and alcohol awareness training and education. All supervisors must receive at least 2 hours of training in substance use detection, documentation, and intervention. Half of this training time should be devoted to drug use and the other half to alcohol use. The employer must refer any employee found to have a substance use problem to a trained substance use professional. This professional will be responsible for evaluating the employee's treatment needs and assessing the employee's ability to return to work. Employers who are subject to the requirements of the Omnibus Transportation Employee Testing Act must ensure that their policies and procedures strictly adhere to the Department of Transportation's requirements. Otherwise, employers run the risk of failing to comply with the Act or violating their employees' civil liberties. The 5 drugs that are tested for the Department of Transportation that are approved are the SAMHSA 5. It is also called the NIDA 5 by the National Institute on Drug Abuse. There's also a 10-panel drug test that screens for, in addition to the 5 listed here, benzodiazepines, barbiturates, methadone, propoxyphene, and quaaludes. The available drug testing methods are oral fluids, urinalysis, hair, fingernail, skin, breathalyzer, and blood alcohol content. The oral fluid testing is quick and convenient. It can be instant or lab-based and detect recent substance use almost immediately. It reduces tampering opportunity and allows for direct, non-invasive observation. Positive instant results are normally sent to a lab for verification. Lab results are usually available in 3 days. The cost of an oral fluid test is higher than a urinalysis test, and the window of detection is generally under 36 hours. Alcohol can be detected up to 24 hours in oral fluid with a specialized test. When performing oral fluid testing, it is important for the employee to not place anything in the mouth for at least 10 minutes prior to the test. This includes food, drink, gum, tobacco, or vaping products. It is also available in 5, 6, or 10 panel tests. Urinalysis testing is the most common and widely accepted form of testing. It can be instant as well as sent to the laboratory. It can detect a wide variety of substances, including nicotine. It can be observed or monitored. The test requires a full 2 liquid ounces to be performed, normally available as a 5-panel or 10-panel test. However, many opportunities of tampering or adulteration can be done on a urine test. There is a specialized urinalysis called ETG, and that can detect alcohol. It's quite sensitive and can detect even the lowest levels of alcohol. The test can detect alcohol in the urine up to 5 days after consumption. The hair follicle test, one of the best testing methods for discovering historical drug or alcohol use. Hair follicles contain the remnants of the drugs or alcohol that have entered the blood stream and made their way to the hair shaft. It can detect 14 different drug categories. It's available in 5-panel or 10-panel testing. It can also detect the parent drug as well as the metabolite. which is a form of the drug after it has been processed by the body. The typical detection goes back 90 days. Results are normally available within a week. There is a specialized test that can check for alcohol, which can be detected in hair follicle for up to 6 months. Nicotine can be detected in the system for 3 months to a year in a specialized test. Fingernail testing requires 10 fingernail clippings, 1/8 of an inch from the end of each nail. There's less risk of an adulteration. The results are available in 3 to 5 days. It's only offered as a 5-panel screen. Fingernails are made up of keratin, the same material that hair is made of. As the nail grows, substances can pass from the blood vessels below the nail into the keratin fibers where they become trapped. This is the most costly form of drug testing. The sweat patch test is rarely used by employers. It's a test that consists of placing a patch on the skin and measuring the drugs and sweat that is absorbed into a pad in the patch. The patch must be worn for 24 hours and can be worn up to 7 days. The patch must be placed and removed by a certified collector, and it's nearly impossible to tamper with. It allows for continuous detection over a period of time. If there is an evidence of tampering, it is recorded as a refusal. Untampered patches are analyzed by the lab, and the results are given in 1 to 3 days. Collected using a calibrated breath alcohol content collection device, it must be performed by a certified collector. It's collected under direct observation. It can be collected orally by exhaling for 10 to 15 seconds into the breathalyzer. It generates an immediate result based on the ethanol alcohol detected in the breath. Levels vary based on the type and amount of alcohol consumed, and detection is up to 48 hours. While it may be appropriate in some situations, where it is suspected that the person is actively under the influence of drugs or alcohol, blood serum testing is the most invasive test. And blood analysis offers a very brief detection window. Drugs are only detectable for minutes to hours because of the rapid metabolization and elimination process of the body. It's done by removing blood from the body via veniculture, and it requires 2 full tubes of blood. Adulteration is defined as purposefully tampering a specimen with the intent of altering the test results. Adulterants may cause false negative results by either interfering with the test and/or destroying the drug metabolites in the specimen. Using prosthetic synthetic urine kits for males or inserting a thin bulb that can be punctured in females and bringing clean, warmed urine in a container is considered adulteration. Diluting urine sample with toilet water or drinking excessive water prior to urination is also tampering with urine. For oral fluid, rinsing the mouth with hydrogen peroxide, chewing gum that contains a liquid hydrogen peroxide center, or other brands of regular chewing gum placed in the cheek of the donor. If the observer is not paying attention to direction of swabbing the tip, the donor may not actually swab the mouth. He or she can manipulate the swab to not touch the mouth and quickly dip the swab in solution. Results will most likely show inconclusive, but will buy time before a repeat test is performed. For hair follicle testing, a detox shampoo that can be purchased online will tamper with the results. And fingernails, sweat, and blood are not easily altered. Monitored is not directly witnessed. If someone needs to have a monitor, the test should be performed with a same gender monitor, unless a licensed healthcare professional is present. This way, they can listen or observe for signs of tampering. Specimen is collected in a bathroom stall that has all access to water, including sinks and toilets, and soap dispensers blocked from use. The employee is required to empty pockets and wash hands before test. Urine is checked for color, temperature, and odor. Unless the monitor is also the collector, the monitor may never have access to or touch the specimen. However, the monitor's name must be included with the sample. With direct observation, a collection is witnessed by having an official watch as the person urinates into the specimen collection container. This is done to validate collection and lessen the likelihood of tampering. This type of testing is considered extremely invasive and is only appropriate to use in certain circumstances. Laboratory tests should require a specific chain of command or custody for the collection and handling of the specimen. If this chain is broken, the results are invalid. The chain of command or custody test is a specific procedure carried out by the lab to track the movement and create a paper trail of the drug screen from the time of collection through the final results. All drug testing should incorporate a chain of custody procedure to ensure the integrity of the test performed. Ensuring the accuracy of drug testing results is imperative. Using certified labs to collect a specimen is recommended. A medical review officer, or MRO, is a person who is a licensed physician and who is responsible for receiving and reviewing laboratory results generated by an employer's drug testing program, evaluating medical explanations for certain drug test results. MRO provides quality assurance review of the drug testing process for the specimens under his or her purview. They determine if there is a legitimate medical explanation for laboratory confirmed positive, adulterated, substituted, and invalid drug test results. They ensure the timely flow of test results and other information to employers and protect the confidentiality of the drug testing information. When choosing a collection site, it's important to consider the reputation for quality and accuracy, that it is a certified laboratory from SAMHSA, the turnaround for results, how long does it take to get your results back, the convenience to a company's location, and the options for 24-hour, 7 days a week emergency collection and on-site collections, especially for those second and third shift jobs. If you or an employee are in need of help, or a family member are in need of help, this is a confidential, free, 24-hour a day, 365-day a year information services for individuals and family members facing substance use disorders. This service provides referrals to local treatment facilities, support groups, and community-based organizations. Thank you.